Today I'm going to talk about a mental decision-making model that if you implement this will instantly make you a better rider right off the bat. Hey everyone, tis the Pilot Rider here and I'm back again with another video. This video specifically is one that I had from a viewer, and this video today is going to be on the decision-making model called the OODA Loop. So there's a lot of techniques out there on YouTube, on the internet, on how to be a safer rider, and a lot of these techniques are physical type techniques. For example, what I mean by is like, okay, getting better with your braking, how you're going to brake, emergency brake, how you're going to pick your lines on the road, safer road lines, your body position, how to be better on the bike and safer with using the correct body positions, throttle control. A lot of this stuff is you physically controlling the bike. However, there's not really a lot on the mental processes on how you can be a better rider straight away. And if you actually use the physical processes along with the mental processes, you're going to be the absolute safest rider you can possibly be. Okay, so for everyone that is new to this channel, we might be asking, why am I sitting here in a pilot's uniform? Well, I am a flight instructor and I teach people how to get the commercial and private pilot licenses. And I love to ride. I've been riding for 9 years and I aim to bring my aviation mindset and what I've learned through my own flying and instructing people into the riding community. So hopefully you get a little bit of value from this video and my other videos on my channel. And without further ado, let's crack into it. Now, this mental model was created by Air Force Colonel John Boyd back in the 1970s, and it stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. And it was used in combat operations in the military. So it's a thinking and decision-making model. And it's designed to effectively get you in the process of a mental loop where you can make decisions and, well, not any decision, but a good decision, fast and effective. And so with Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act, you can apply this not only from an aviation or a military standpoint, but it's been applied in business as well. And therefore, you can 100% apply this mental model to riding. So in aviation, we have quite a few mental models. One of them being this, the OODA Loop, FDODA, if you've heard of that as well, the Decide model, SADI, all those kind of models we can use in terms of what's going to help us to make good decisions fast and effectively. And the most important thing in aviation is that we have to be safe and we have to mitigate risk. So riding is very, very similar in aviation in the sense that there's a lot of mental processes that go with riding, because you're constantly having to think while you're on your feet, and the risks are very high if something were to go wrong. Now, the issue with many riders, and I'm not speaking for 100% of everyone out there, but many riders, probably a good 85 to 90% will just swing a leg over their bike and just go out and ride. But you need to, if you want to be one of the safer riders and you want to have a long career on your motorcycle, you have to have some form of mental processes going on when you're riding your motorcycle. Now, you might be thinking, well, I've been safe, I've been doing it for many years and I've never had any concerns or issues, or you've never had any really big scares. And that's okay, because you might even be just running a mental model unconsciously without you actually knowing that you're running one, but you may have some form of model that that is unique to you, that you're running through in your own mind and you're just not fully aware of it. So hopefully I can bring to light a form of decision-making model with the OODA Loop today, that if you're not already currently using one, this was going to help 100% help make you that better and safer rider. So let's break it down from number one. So let's talk about the first O in the OODA Loop, and that's going to be observe. So when you're riding, you want to be observing everything around you. You should always constantly be observing what's happening around you, how you're interacting with the bike, and also what's happening in the external environment around you. That's a big part of observe. So you're just taking in information, all the stimuli coming into you. That's all the observe part of it. And then next you've got the orient. So what do I mean, or what does it mean by orient? Well, that is pretty much your own beliefs, values, how you see the world and how you process things is how you're going to interpret that information that you got from the observe step. And so you're going to process that information differently compared to someone else, because it does depend on your experience that you've had too. You can process and orient yourself far differently if you've had 10 years of riding versus someone who's just started their riding career and is in their first year. So everyone's going to orient slightly differently, and how you're going to process that information will then lead into the next step. Now the next step is decide. So you're actually going to decide what you're going to do with that information. You've now processed it, you view it in a certain light with your experience, values, beliefs, all that kind of stuff, and now you can make a decision on what you're going to do. And the last one is act. You've decided what you're going to do with that information, and now you're going to act on it. So that's a crucial step. You can't just decide and just sit on the information and do nothing. You have to act on it, and it's very important in aviation as well. Once we've decided, we have to act, and then therefore go into a repeatable loop from there. So once you've acted, you then go back into the process of observe, and it's just a constant cycle: observe, orient, decide, and act. Okay, so let me give you a real world example of what I experienced putting this OODA loop into a practical scenario of what happened. So earlier this year, I had a very, very near miss with a car. I was coming around a blind left corner. I was riding as a group. I was 3 people in our group, including me, so quite a small group, just some close friends of mine. And next thing, I turn this corner coming to the left, and then there's this white Mitsubishi that is passing other cars on this blind corner. An absolute stupid thing for someone to do. But when you come to New Zealand, you get a lot of tourist drivers driving our roads, really windy, curvy, scenic roads. Things like this do happen. So with this scenario, let's talk about the first O, which is observe. So I observed what was happening. All this happens really, really fast. You know, we're talking split seconds here, but my external stimuli is this white car coming at me as I turn this left corner. Next thing I've got to do is orient. So orient portion of this OODA loop is I now have to make sense of this information. So making sense of it is, okay, oh shit, there is a car coming right at me that is attempting to pass other cars. This car is still on my side of the road, and he hasn't, or she hasn't finished actually passing the vehicles on their side. So this person is stuck on my side while I'm on the motorbike coming through this left-hand bend. And the next up is D. I have to decide what I'm doing with this information that I've just got. So I've just oriented myself in terms of my beliefs, my experiences, my values, how I'm processing this information with this vehicle coming at me. And now I have to decide on what I'm going to do. So in this instance, when I take a corner, especially more so just road riding, you should take a corner further towards the center line on the outside. So when you turn through like a blind corner, for example, you've got visibility on oncoming traffic coming at you, because if you're on the inside, you don't have that visibility of oncoming vehicles. So I'm on the outside, and that is actually what helps me to spot this vehicle. I'm on the outside of the corner doing this left-hand bend, see this white Mitsubishi. I have to decide, what am I going to do? So because I'm on the outside, I quickly cut to the inside of the corner, which for me, we drive on the left-hand side here in New Zealand, is the left-hand side of my lane. So I quickly shoot from the outside to the inside. So that also goes with the act portion. So I decided what I was going to do, and I acted on it. And that was, once again, coming from the outside to the inside of the corner. Now, if I was in a car myself, 100% that would have been probably a head-on collision. This is all at 100 k's an hour, 60 miles per hour for you guys in the United States. So it could have been a very serious accident and very stupid thing for this person to be doing. Even now, thinking about it, it riles me up that people do this kind of silly stuff on the road. But, I put myself in the best position I could. I always watch and pay attention to my lines on the road, and it's a big reason why it gave this person breathing space, because they cut in just as I was coming to the left of that corner. So once again, don't want to think about what would have happened, or we know what probably would have happened if I was in a car. So thankfully that day I was actually on a motorcycle. I'm super thankful for that. So that's the OODA loop, and that's the OODA cycle, the decision-making mental process in action in a real-world scenario that I've experienced. Now, being honest, when I was going through that corner, I'm not thinking in my mind, OODA loop, what am I doing? How am I going to go about it? It should be something that becomes or is natural and automatic to you. And with my aviation experience, all this kind of decision-making models, it comes naturally because we're having to run it all the time when we're up in the air, especially teaching students who don't know how to fly. And we're having to manage the student, we're having to manage keeping the aircraft and ourselves safe from other traffic that's out there as well, and depending on the conditions. So there's a whole lot of multitasking going on. So these kind of loops happen a little bit more naturally for us who are pilots, and that's why if it can be something that's similar and you can take from aviation into your actual riding, because the risk on both ends are so high, and they are actually quite similar, aviation and riding motorcycles. Now there's one big thing in flying, and I always try to emphasize it to my students, and that is making sure you keep ahead of the aircraft. And that's not like, okay, you're trying to physically keep yourself ahead of the aircraft, you can't, but you're mentally keeping ahead of the aircraft. So you're anticipating what's going to happen next. You're anticipating, okay, you've just done step X and now upcoming is step Y, because as soon as you start falling back in aviation, that's when the plane will get ahead of you, figuratively, and then that means the plane's flying you and you're not flying the plane. Same with your motorcycling. You need to be ahead of the motorcycle. You don't want to be a passenger on your own bike. You need to be the one making decisions, being in control. And if you're in control and you're keeping ahead of the bike will listen to you, and it won't be the other way around. I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but if you take this mental model and you apply it straight away, even if it might not come automatically to you straight away if you've never used something like this, but if you practice it, even not on the bike, but just go run through your mind, observe, orient, decide, act in your day-to-day life and how you're going to use that loop, you'll find it will translate over to your riding a lot more naturally, and then eventually it'll just be unconscious and you won't be thinking about it consciously, so to say. It'll be running like a loop, as the name implies, OODA Loop. It's a loop that will just keep constantly running in the back of your mind, keeping you thinking, keeping you mentally ahead of your bike, and that will instantly make you a better rider. So we can always talk about techniques and physical techniques on how we can be better on the bike, and that could be to do with braking, body position, road lines, all that kind of stuff. But there's not quite enough emphasis, I would say, on the mental techniques to get yourself safer on the bike. So I'm actually going to end the video there today. So hopefully you got a little bit of something from this video. Just apply that OODA loop to your own riding, and I can guarantee it will make a difference straight away, and it will make a difference in where it actually counts. That situation will come up and arise, and you'll unconsciously be going through this loop, and that's what I want for you, just being a safer rider. So I've just recently as well released a free PDF guide on a pre-ride checklist on everything you should check before you go out motorcycling, and this is taken from my own experience with aviation, and I've adapted it to motorcycling. So you'll be able to see that link in the description below, or also on my channel. Be sure to watch the video here on which this guide is related to. And I want to thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, chuck them below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps support me in getting this content out to you guys. And stay in touch for the next video. We'll see you all later.